Okay, Ray Pang. Welcome to the Online Architects podcast by myself, which I started a year ago. Made for interesting people like yourself, entrepreneurs, businessmen, people doing really well. I just want to hear your story, interesting stories about other people. It's been an amazing journey. We started in Bangkok a year ago, Australia, and here we are in Bali.
Bali.
So how long have you been living in Bali for now?
On and off probably since the second half of 2023. But I did move to Dubai at the start of 2024. And I lived there for about 6 months before coming back to Bali.
Okay.
So I'd say probably 2.5 years on and off now.
Yeah. What drew you to Bali? Like, why Bali over Dubai? Like, I haven't been to Dubai, but I hear like very mixed signals.
Yeah, so what initially drew me to Bali was off the back of the end of a business partnership and the end of an intimate relationship.
Okay.
And Bali just called me because I had ex-team members living in Bali that they have been asking me to come over, hang out. But I was living in Australia back then. There was just this sense of familiarity after ending everything to come back to people who are familiar. And not only that, I'm from Singapore, so it's only 2.5 hours away from my home country. So it just felt like the right time to make the move.
We met like a month or two ago now. We're in kind of similar circles.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is we actually have a very similar story. So we both actually have the same first mentor,
Yeah.
Sean. We both started in copywriting and email.
Yeah.
Both were living in Australia. And now we're both moved to Bali. So I just want to go back a little bit to kind of the origin of your story for people that may not know. Because first of all, you're a businessman. You're also a incredible public speaker.
Thank you.
I was blown away from the speech that you did 2 months ago, and we will get into that. But in terms of when you first started, like that journey, you became a copywriter. It was like you were unhappy and unfulfilled, like most of us on our 9 to 5, and you were looking for a vehicle out, similar to myself. It was copywriting. So you started there, and then kind of where did it lead to?
The interesting thing was I wasn't necessarily frustrated with my 9 to 5.
Okay.
You know, I was laid off.
And you were unsatisfied.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I need to do something now. And living in a foreign country with no income coming in, my last result was to go back to Singapore, and I didn't want to do that, right? So in my mind, I applied for multiple full-time jobs, after being made redundant, I heard nothing back, as a foreign resident, visa and all of that. And I was like, you know what? I never want to put my financial future in the hands of another ever again, right? And that was how I found Sean on Instagram, which is, my first ever mentor. And it was actually through a case study of this 19-year-old kid, making 25 grand a month within 120 days of starting this program. So in my mind, I was like, if this kid can do it, why can't I, And the program was around about like 4.5 grand Aussie. I had like probably 5 grand left in my bank account, no income coming in. I was like, but if nothing changes. And I took the leap of faith, invested in myself. And interestingly enough, it was a program for copywriters, but I wasn't a copywriter.
Right.
So I was figuring out like, okay, now what? What skills do I need to learn in the online space,
Before, I think I'll be okay.
Let's see. I found out that there were a couple of people in the community that were using the strategies for sales, like to find online remote sales work. And it just seems easier. Like you reach out to a potential prospect, you say, hey, if I close the deal, then I get paid. Like there's no risks involved. And that was literally my first gig. I was actually a sales professional, like a DM setter.
Okay. All right.
Right. And that was how my journey really started. A DM setter in a health and wellness coaching business.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a bit different from.
And when you started that, was that like bringing in enough income to support you, or was it just like getting started?
It was so interesting because it took me about 2 weeks to find a client, and I was just so deep in it. I was just learning so much through the mentorship community I was a part of. I was asking so many questions, and back then it was like live trainings as well, so it wasn't like pre-recorded. But I was texting like Sean almost every other day. I was like, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? And from my own personal experience, I was already pretty confident in just going for it. And not just confident, I just had no choice.
Back against the wall.
So I needed to just like go for it. So with the reps came the experience, and with the experience and the feedback came the skill set. And I started setting like a lot of appointments for this specific client. And within 2 weeks, I received my first commission check. And it was around about like, I still remember, around about like 8.5K USD.
Oh, wow.
Commission check.
Big one then.
Yeah, huge one, right? And that blew my mind open as to what the online space could be. And the other 1.5K came through like a bit of a brand consulting I was doing with like my contacts and my immediate network. So I was receiving like 10K within the first like 31 days, 30 days with the first month of leaving my full-time job. And that just, I just like went, all right, guess what? There's a whole different reality out there.
Making money online is like bungee jumping. You're scared and you're at the thing, but as soon as you jump and then it just pulls and you figure out you're safe, like it's great. And that's the same with me. Like I called 500 cold call numbers and I got my first client and she paid me $200 for like emails. And it was like the same as you. It was like that dopamine hit. It was like, this is it. This is real. Let's go. It's like, it was like that basically certainty you needed to go like full in.
Exactly.
Your first track was great. So
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and it was amazing because like I still remember the feelings, like the feeling of making your first online, like the first amount of online money. Even when I made my first 100 grand month, like there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're breaking through a certain paradigm of reality. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I can be at home, I can just be on my laptop and just make money online. It's just a whole different paradigm.
Shifts your entire beliefs.
Yeah,
And I think we have an interesting time. For me, especially my journey that feels like obviously going like this, but like since like COVID was like everyone's working from home. Same as, similar story. Like I actually had to get back into Australia on a student visa and I could only work legally 20 hours a week. And I was like, well, I either have to make money or go home. Simply back against the wall. It was just like, right, either all I knew was sales. I do it for a while. And this is where we kind of like, sales is the most important skill. And I started to make income. But then when my side income started taking over my job income, I was just like, makes sense. You got to do it.
Exactly.
Amazing. So you did the copywriting and, obviously I'm finding out things about you I didn't know from your business and journey, which is super interesting. But then where did you go from there? Because it isn't always necessarily a big leap from I've got this, let's go, life's great. It was like the DM setter, then what came next, because obviously you're doing.
Yeah. So what I come to realize is that I didn't want to spend all of my hours in the DMs and setting. Like it's a hustle, right? Like DM setting is a hustle. So I have so much respect for my sales team, for people who are in sales right now, but it's also one of the best platforms to learn business, to have a high income scale, to really understand how sales work, right? So I was very blessed in the understanding. And I realized that a lot of people in the mentorship community I was in, like couldn't sign clients. They couldn't make money online. So, and I was receiving interest because I was beginning to like voice my expressions, like put myself out there, sharing my wins and getting well known in the community for being back then the record holder for like hitting 10K months within a specific time frame. So I was getting a lot of like interest and stuff like that. And I had potential prospects in the pipeline that I didn't have capacity to bring on. So I started to work out in my mind, like what if I can create a commission agreement where I negotiate maybe a 20% commission with the client and I train or I hand over the client to a potential sales professional who needs clients and just give him like 10%, so I keep 10% on the uptick, right? So that was how I evolved from just a sales professional into a sales agency, right? I started leveraging the community, handing out clients and just being the manager per se.
Yeah. It's interesting because most successful people I meet like yourself have started in the trenches of those jobs because as you build the layers of business and your foundations like a pyramid, if any of those layers are missing, it crumbles and falls, as you know.
Exactly.
So you know how to do the DM setting, you know how to do the ads, you know how to do the sales, like all these things. Same with me. Like I was cold calling numbers. I would finish my 9 to 5 and come home and start my 5 to 9. I'd be living with a roommate and be like, sorry, man, I've got to make like 500 calls and just doing that dirt work.
The dirt work, like very similar. Like I was living in a shared house with my university mates when I first started this journey, right? So they were having house parties. Us like going out and you were just like locking yourself away because like that was all you needed to focus on.
Yeah.
At the start, at least in my journey, it was definitely a bit, I wouldn't say sacrifice because back then it didn't feel like sacrifice.
Yeah.
It felt like a choice. So it might seem like a sacrifice, but I was choosing it. I was choosing that this is the path I want, that everything else was just a distraction.
I find it interesting with obviously like, because like 90% of like 21, 25-year-olds, they're partying, they're doing whatever, but then there's that select few. And I've thought about this a lot and it's not actually wanting to change. It's the pain of what you won't become if you don't change. That's what's super, that's what me and you have. It's like, oh man, I cannot wait for another paycheck and all this.
Even less than like what, at the start, even less than just like what you won't become, it's more like I don't want to go back. Right?
No going back.
Like, I didn't want to go back. Right?
You're gonna make 8K commission on a DM and then go back to a 4K a month like paycheck. Exactly. 40 hours a week.
100%.
Oh my god.
You don't want to go back, so you just keep going.
Yeah, love that. So you did that. You did the copywriting thing. Talk to me in terms of levels, because obviously like you've leveled up like bit by bit, year by year. So what was after you did the rev share, the DM setting, like where are you now? Like, because obviously the public speaking is now, but where's the in between?
In between was, I mean, I would say the in between has always been the integration and realization that money isn't everything. Right. And the biggest lesson that I received was when I kind of like lost all of my money through a specific decision that my business partner made that resulted in us losing millions of dollars.
Right.
Right. So going from like a multi-7-figure entrepreneur to making barely like 10 grand a month, right? Like that. And fixed expenses don't change that quickly.
Taste doesn't change either.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like lifestyle inflation. I really had to meet myself through that. Like going from this attachment to this identity of this multimillionaire to like losing everything and end of the relationship and then back in my parents' apartment and looking at myself and go, where did everything go so wrong? Right? But more so than that, we tend to get stuck in that loop. Like, where did everything go so wrong, go so wrong, go so wrong? But actually, back then, I didn't realize it then until I began to connect back to myself that I wasn't starting from scratch. I was starting from a foundation that was no longer attached to money itself. Right? Like, what does money mean for me specifically? What do I actually want to create for my life? What actually fulfills my soul beyond the need of creating a business in order to prove to the world that I get to belong in this world, right? Status and all of that. So for me, that was the inflection point towards materializing and creating the business ecosystem that I have now.
Yeah.
Right? Coming from that place of like, more so than anyone else, more so than the status, more so than proving to everyone and anyone, if I've got nothing to prove and no one to please, what business do I actually want for myself? And that's literally how Infinite Flow Points, which is my current mentorship community, is born.
Yeah.
Right? Coming from that place of like, what, based upon my internal desires and my internal architecture and who I am really, manifesting, externalizing their business structure and the business system and just bringing the people in that I truly enjoy serving and then scaling from there. So for me, that was the biggest inflection point, like the detachment from materialism and then the reintegration of what materialism gets to be for me specifically.
I feel like money has an energy, and if you're emotional about money, it doesn't flow the same way. Like, you've mentioned this as well. Yeah, and exactly that. But what really impresses me, what you've done is like, you can get a lucky run and you could get to those millionaire status, but to lose it all and be able to build it back again, that's because you have the foundations and skills. Because you're a DM setter, you know how to reach out to people and do that sort of stuff. So what's really interesting there is that not only did you shift your purpose, but your energy in the sense of, which most business owners struggle with because of desperation, by the way, is I'm only going to work with who serves me and what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I can see this at levels where people are doing 500K a month, $1 million a month. Their patience is like this, but not in a nasty way. More in it's just like, if I'm going to spend my time with you, because I've done this for years, and it's like, if I'm going to jump on with 30 minutes with you or give you my time, I have to qualify you. Which I love that energy because it's like, it's infectious. It's like, oh, he's qualifying me to work with him. It pulls you in.
100%. And when you do that, you begin to realize that as much as the clients are investing in you and paying you, clients also get to add value to your life.
Of course.
And if they don't, what's the point? And for me, I've come to embrace the fact that I'm a very relational person. That when I work with someone, like I actually care about them.
Yeah.
So I cannot diminish my value and charge less than I'm worth because I care. If I do that, I either create resentment or just don't give a fuck about their success, right? If they don't invest to the value that I want to receive. So that's what I've come to realize. And that's why like the model in how we've created for our mentorship community and how we co-create with clients, it's very present, very intimate, very like co-creative. And that's why clients have been with me for like 4, 5, 6 years, and we grow them anywhere from 0 to 10K per month to 25K per month to 100K per month plus, right? But we're with them on the journey.
So talk to me about that and your mentorship for people that don't know, like what does it entail? You're a business owner, you want to get help to make, and it can be across any business or industry, talk to me about it.
So I specifically focus a lot on creators, leaders, thought leaders who have a desire to transform and empower humanity. And what we do is we calibrate them across 3 specific calibrations, right? Depending on where you're at, right? And most people, before they get to the 10K per month mark, a lot of what they need is deep sovereign clarity of who they are and why they actually want to create this business in the first place, which means a deep refinement of their signal, right? What is the message they're transmitting to the marketplace, and what is the pocket of reality that they actually want to serve, they can call in. So we focus a lot on really fine-tuning your entire internet architecture, how you operate, who you are really, what's your message to the world. We extract your entire life events and experiences and begin to consolidate and offer there's actually an external expression of who you truly are, right? So that's like the first part. And usually when clients move through those processes, they naturally start receiving DMs and opportunities and conversations with people who are right fit. And from that, you can easily sign 2 to 3 clients per month and get to 10K per month on a coaching offer. Right. So once you're at that level, then we move them into deal flow structure. Right. And deal flow structure is where we curate their message, their market, their offer, right, into a cohesive business model that actually works for them. Right, because there are so many like different strategies out there in the marketplace, like webinars, ads, VSLs, social media, non-social media, paid like so many different modalities. And what I've come to realize in this like almost 7 years of like being in this industry, it's everything works.
Yeah, I said that yesterday. Every vehicle works.
Every
you just have to have conviction in it.
Right, but not every vehicle will work for you. Right, and it is through sovereign clarity and nervous system calibration and what the founder actually wants to receive through business that we begin to curate a business model that actually works for this individual, right? So some individuals, they have a coaching offer. Some individuals, they have community spaces. Some individuals, they are focused on retreats. So it really depends on what the individual's capacity is. And then through that, we externalize a deal flow structure that's actually in flow with who they really are.
Which I think is super important, by the way, to touch on for any business owners watching or anything, because what you see is like, it's the quick desires and quick wins, which I did, which was like copywriting. I'll do emails. But I actually found out I wasn't as passionate about emails.
Yeah.
So I moved it away and I was like, I'm actually passionate about building, AI and coaching and speaking and that type of thing. And you're solving that problem from the begin go when it's just like, I have a purpose. Because you have to, if you're going to do it for 5 years, you better love it.
Exactly.
You better wake up a day and be excited about it, because I think it was Layla Hormozi says is the biggest thing that stops businesses, like 80% of businesses, isn't actually funding. It's the business owner giving up and stopping.
100%.
So it's a super important message. I love the way you do that, because it's not just how good is your skills, let's make money. It's yourself, it's your being.
Correct.
It's like protect your mornings. It's about, your health, your fitness, your message, your relationships.
Exactly.
All goes into one.
100%. That's why the primary pillar that we always return back to, which is the infinite flow point operating system, the first pillar is always the body, the nervous system. Of course. Right? Like if you are not actually taking care of this physical vessel, right, and you're not setting the boundaries that's required to preserve and retain your capacity, then everything that you try to do, whatever strategies you tackle on top, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
You're just going to burn out, right? So only through that, and we build out the deal flow structure, then we stack on top of cash flow engine, then we do paid traffic, then we do webinars, then we do challenges, then we build AI, right? Because before all of that, if you stack all of these things, it's just a gap filler.
Yeah.
Right? But AI is not meant to be a gap filler. AI is meant to be an amplifier.
It is, yeah.
Right? So if you stack AI on top of a system that's already fracturing, it just creates more noise. Right? So we always come back to who the founder really is and what they actually want to create into the world, and then we scale. And that's how I've created like business for myself, and businesses for others, where it's literally infinite flow point. You feel so alive in your business. You're not hustling, you're not always in the weeds, you're actually directing and commanding the system to work with you and for you. And that's the difference.
I want to ask a question that not many people ask because it's hidden. Yeah. And it's the same with kind of me. It's like, 2 years ago I was in Australia, like working a job, and now look where I am. And it's like all they see is the highlights in the journey.
Yeah.
The story it's not that way. Just walk me through how that came about, in the sense of you're a DM setter, and then you had you kind of lost all the money, and then now you start into flow. How did that even come about as people that are business owners or marketers? Because they're going to be like, well, did he run ads? Did he do this? Like, what steps were there to go from building this amazing company, Infinite Flow, and the mentorship? Like, how did you go about that? Were you just posting loads of content? Were you running ads? Like, what was the story?
Yeah. So the most important aspect when it comes to business is reputation management. Right. So when I ended everything, I was also extremely vulnerable and honest with every single client that we've burnt, and also every single client that continues to stay with me.
Yeah.
Right. I was very honest throughout the entire process of like, either I do not have capacity to continue to deliver, or we lost all of your money. Right. Back then. And I feel as though it's through that integrity that the individuals that are not meant to be with you on the path just naturally fall away. And the individuals that are with you on that path continues to be with you. Right? I've got clients who have been with me since the start of my journey.
Right.
Like I've got clients, of course, who have fallen off when I lost everything. Right. But through it all, I think that the most important part beyond any strategies and tactics is how you hold yourself in truth in every moment, every choice. Right. And for me, that is the deepest part, because then when I reach back out, when I started my business again to the network that I have created in the past, it became a lot more in flow. because people could feel the truth and the integrity and the evolution that I've been through and met myself when I lost everything. Right? So when I created from that place, I wasn't hyping, I wasn't over promising, I stopped doing monetary promises. I stopped doing like, you're gonna make this amount of money, like I don't give a shit. Right? What I can promise, like with every single individual, and it's so real, is that I can promise and I can guarantee that you will live in a deeper, more coherent life with your business, with your life when we're working together. That's it. Right? And I was very honest through that process. So the secret, there's no secret specifically. It's just honesty, integrity, clean invitations to your network, refining your signal. If there's any specific functionality in business that is a game changer beyond AI, beyond anything else, it's just becoming a mad scientist of really understanding the people that you want to serve. Market research, market experimentation. That in and of itself is a game changer.
Yeah.
Because when you truly, like, think about this, right? Let's say you have a 4.5K offer, right? Let's say your lead gen tool is let's say a free challenge, right? The client, the prospect that converts into the free challenge is not going to be the prospect that converts into the 4.5K offer necessarily. But the person who converts into the free challenge is an expression of the 4.5K client who converts. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Right? The 4.5K client is never going to be the client who converts on the free challenge but doesn't convert on the 4.5K offer.
Yeah.
But the free challenge conversion is going to be an expression of the 4.5K client. So when you reverse engineer every single part of your funnel journey, right? Every single asset that you're building out to move them through, and you understand each pocket of reality like a mad fucking scientist, and you reverse engineer the copy in every single way, boom.
That's it.
You have such a seamless flow, but most people don't do that.
It's own. I record all my sales calls, and I took every single transcripts. I put it through Claude, and I went, tell me the problems, and it gave me like 6 huge problems, and I went, there's my copy, there's my ads.
Exactly.
It's real. It's pain of what they're suffering.
What they're expressing.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's already present in the marketplace, and a lot of us want to invent new stuff.
yeah. So, look, you've got that going on, which is great. Your mentorship, is that fully what you're doing now? You obviously have other stuff going on. Like, talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, that is, I'd say 75 to 80% of my presence and my focus, because it's something that really speaks to me and it creates a very deep financial flywheel for everyone around me. On top of that, I've got my social enterprise, which is Global Freedom Initiative. And that's my legacy work.
Yeah.
And with Global Freedom Initiative is we take everything that we are coaching and mentoring our clients with Infinite Flow Point to curate entrepreneurship curriculums, social emotional well-being curriculums for the next generation. So Global Freedom Initiative, we work with private schools, associations, institutions to empower youths, right, to learn the skill set and the aspects of life that we've never been taught in school.
Which is super interesting, but yeah, super needed, and I completely agree with that statement.
Exactly.
School failed me. School fails a lot of people. So you're working in quite a lot of schools in Bali, aren't you, at the moment?
A couple of schools in Bali. We recently launched our first workshop in Singapore in May.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that was huge. A couple of private schools in India. We've got an online school in the Philippines that we're working with.
Okay.
And we are currently having conversations with South African governments.
Yeah, I think they need you in London, mate. They need you need a lot of schools there need savings.
Exactly.
No, it's out of that. So okay. You've got your mentorship. You're doing your passion, your journey, which is they're helping the schools. You're giving back. But without kind of making you blush, you are an incredible public speaker. I've been to one of your events 2 months ago, and take it from someone that if I need to watch like a movie that's like full of Transformers and things going really fast, you held my attention for a full hour and every part made sense. So that's a skill. Like, obviously I used to be a singer. I do speaking. I've been on mics. Like, to compose yourself, to flow, to do the speaking, it was quite incredible because, I might be paraphrasing here, but you had the 3-step kind of journey, which was your body, then your business, and then your relationships and offering stuff like that. When did you start the public speaking and doing things like that?
Oof, I think my first ever speech was in 2021.
Right.
So one of my clients back then, I was living on the Gold Coast. They were hosting entrepreneurship events around the Gold Coast, and I was their marketing agency. And I'm very relational, right? So when I work with a client, it's like we're friends, right? We are also connecting as brothers, as sisters, as like almost like a family, right? So when I started working with them, we started to build a really deep friendship. And the rooms needed someone who, back then we were doing like, multiple 6 figures a month, right? And my client was coaching the community on how to get their first 10K a month. So they just needed, because of the relationship that we have, they saw that I could empower their clients in the rooms in a way that they could never have. And that also resulted in me supporting them. So when they host an event, I'll be like a guest speaker, and I'll support with closing the participants into the offer while working with them as my client.
Okay.
Right. So that was my first ever speech. I was talking about like wealth consciousness and money and impact. And I remember it was very liberating. At that point, I already had a lot of experience like mentoring my team, coaching clients on Zoom. So the skill is pretty much transferable. The difference was the adrenaline that comes when you're standing in front of an audience. So that was how I met myself, like the need to just like pause and just hold yourself, and less about the audience and more about like how I'm feeling through that process. And it was an amazing experience for me as my first speech. So that was my first one.
There's leaders and there's followers in the world, unfortunately. You have to be able to command a room with presence.
Yeah.
And being a speaker, a singer, performer, a dancer, whatever it is, you actually have to get rid of any self-doubt that might be in your brain. Because if that starts to creep in, like, I've had moments of like when I've had like a bad throat and I've had to sing a show in front of like thousands of people, no sleep the night before, and then your voice cracks or you just can't even sing. And the embarrassment that you're left with, like if you cannot overcome that, like, I'm not going to sing again, I'm not going to speak again.
Yeah.
It's truly is people don't realize it's a skill. Like,
it's a surrender as well.
It's a surrender.
Like I remember I was speaking on the Gold Coast to like 500 business owners, and it was a multi-speaker summit, and a lot of speakers were coming up and they were doing the intros and stuff like that, and I was like, I want to do something different. To intro. And what came through was, I'm just gonna do a rap. I was gonna do a rap on stage for the first time in my fucking life, right? And that day, I was sick.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, my flu was on, like, everything was on. I just couldn't, like, connect with anyone before my segment. I just needed time for myself and just, like, hold myself through that process. And I was, like, memorizing my rap. It needed to be perfect and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I stepped out on stage. I literally forgot 50% of the rap. Like, as I was going through it. And the interesting thing was that, right, because before every like speech, I have a specific practice where, like, for me, the left is the feminine, the right is the masculine. Right. So for me, whenever I'm on stage, the first thing it needs to do is to serve me. Right. If I don't acknowledge the fact of how it's serving me in the process, how can I serve others? Right? It's coming from a place of depletion. So with the feminine, I always come back to my heart. It's like, what do I want to receive from this? Receive. And then my masculine is service. So which is my spine, the back, right? I'm in service of what the room needs. So that when I step out on stage, my sinus was just gone, right? My flu was just gone. I was just present. And then as I was rapping, I forgot 50%. I just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right, I just enjoyed myself on stage, and it just flowed. It still flowed. I still rapped. We still had a great time. It was amazing. So as you said, self-doubt, it will only ruin, or like the need for perfection will only ruin the moment. And all you need when you're speaking to someone is just be present in the moment and enjoy yourself through the process. We forget how much it is so important to just enjoy the process.
Something I struggle with. I've always been, look, I'm a deep thinker. I mean, I have a famous story when you remember when you're in school and the teacher goes round and goes, hey, what do you want to be? And then you're like 4 years old and they'd be like, fireman, policeman. They got to me and I was like, I want to be the youngest philosopher that ever lived at like 5 years. I said that.
Really? Wow.
And I was just like, because I was just like into Socrates. I was into like, Alan Watts at the time. I'd like listen to YouTube. I was kind of weird like that, but that like expanded my mind. No, but in terms of that, I wanted to jump on that point, which is personal branding, right? I really struggled going from singing on stage to sitting in a room in front of a camera and trying to be authentic.
Yeah.
Most, I guesstimate, these numbers aren't real, but 80 to 90% of people don't do content because of the afraid of looking silly of what they feel. Exactly. My first videos were awful. I can't watch them. Yeah. They're still on the back of my TikTok 5 years ago, but I keep them on. But the point I'm making is that, like, to truly dive into content, there's only so few that do it for years and don't feel, embarrassed by it. I mean, we would get people just doing it in the park these days. So how do you feel creating a personal brand, making content? Are you connected with it, or do you feel that you have to switch something on, like it's performative?
Yeah, that's why I have this philosophy called personal brand as infinite equity, right? And infinite equity meaning that your personal brand is an expression of everything that you are to this moment in time.
Yeah.
Right. And for me personally, like, authenticity is such a huge thing for people when it comes to personal branding. Like, how do you show up online? How do you show up on social media? And this is what I always tell people who are refining their signal, right? Especially at the beginning of your business, or even when you have arrived at a 50K a month, 100K a month, then you realize that, this doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Then you need to refine your signal once more. When you're in that space, you've got to allow yourself to let go of what social media is.
Yeah.
Right? Let go of the construct of social media. Let go of the construct of Instagram algorithms, hooks, likes, all of that shit. And what you've got to allow yourself to do is just to enjoy creating.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where the authenticity comes through, the enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right? When you post something, are you enjoying it? Or are you focusing on it needs to be this perfect, it needs to be this hook, it needs to be that strategy, tactic, and then that diminishes the life force energy.
Yeah.
Right? Until you allow yourself to enjoy it, strategies and tactics will not support you. But if you really enjoy it, putting strategies, AI, and tactics on top of it will just amplify everything.
This is why I find social media just fascinating because someone can go viral overnight and get a million followers,
You don't
right?
know.
It could be like, I remember a TikTok page and all the guy was doing was making sandwiches, but it was viewed on his hand. It was just making Subway sandwiches. Every day was Subway sandwiches and he had like millions of followers. And I was like, this guy loves making sandwiches so much. And then that shifted for me because I was just like, it doesn't matter what you do.
No. and the funny thing is like we need to realize this. The most watched video on the internet is probably like just an egg doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or just some random ass stuff that does nothing, right? But the people need to realize that chasing virality, like millions of views, doesn't necessarily translate to millions of dollars.
No, exactly.
Right? I've worked with client profiles with hundreds and thousands of followers, millions of followers, but they don't make the same amount of money as I do, or even for some of my clients do, right? Because it's how you translate attention into like raving fans while willing to part with their investments and also recognize the value that you provide.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that people need to realize. Like when it comes to personal brand and social media, like let go of what social media is, enjoy yourself through the process. Get very, very clear in terms of the client journey and the offer architecture. Where does your Instagram profile, LinkedIn profile serves the best? Because when you can like curate your social media profile as a specific point on your offer architecture and your LinkedIn journey, it amplifies everything. Right? So for example, for my Instagram profile, it's not designed for cold people, right? It's designed for people who met me, who have had a certain connection to me, and they land on my social media profile like, whoa, this guy is doing something, right? And I curate it for that. So you don't see me going on social media and going like, I'm posting every single day. No, I post whenever I want, however I want, based upon what I understand social media serves me, right? And then I'll leverage other tools because I know I don't want to be filming content every single day.
Yeah,
right?
which is super interesting because you've built businesses the kind of proper way with relationships.
Exactly.
Stuff that just amplifies what you're doing. Whereas like there's some businesses, and I mean, I was in a network of people 2 weeks ago in Bali and we were talking a lot about this, and I love bouncing off other businesses and seeing how they're doing it, but they just live on organic content. They're like, they have to pump out the videos to get the leads. But like my business runs, I mean, purely off of paid ads. But I love that because it's, I can control the geography, the messaging, and then the lead flow. Organic only for me helps. I personally couldn't run a business fully on organic unless I had thousands of followers, like you said, and it doesn't convert to money, does it?
No.
Whereas like a paid ad, it's like they're coming in for a certain service, so they're going to fill out a form. Great, cool, I know that, and there's people I want to talk to. Let's talk about money in a way that you probably never talk about, which is going to be super interesting, and more in a capitalist way, but to detach meaning from it, because I had this talk on my podcast last week, which is I'm finding super interesting. 10K a month is not a lot of money anymore. We have moved on. 20 to 50K a month now, it seems to be like the pinnacle you need to get to at business. But let's rewind that for like, that's not easy to get to. Anyone I talk to that's maybe at that and giving themselves a hard time on my journey, I have to step back and go, whoa, I was on $8 an hour in Australia, like lifting bricks at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
So to you now, what do you feel like is a good amount of money to make per month? It doesn't have to be like in the stratosphere, but for a general person running a business and going, you know what, you can have a good life on that. What does that number look like for you in 2026?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give a number, but really the number is literally reflective of your capacity and your ability to circulate wealth, right? Like if you actually don't have an intention and a purpose behind how your wealth is circulated beyond your own personal needs, then like whatever money you have is never gonna be enough.
Yeah.
Right? So for me personally, like what I generate now is enough to live a life that's extremely beautiful. But the difference is the desire, right? The desire of what I want the money to serve. Yeah. And for me, I will not stop. I will not stop until the entire education system in every single country is revolutionized. So that in and of itself, people would say is $1 billion dream, is maybe even an Elon Musk $1 trillion dream. One unified education system that truly empowers every single individual on the planet. Yeah. Right? I don't know what that is, right? But I'm not going to stop. So for me, it's enough. Like whatever I'm making now is enough. And I've got a vision that a calling that is just there. It's just something that I cannot ignore. And every single time I ignore that, it just creates this sense of internal suffering within me. Like I'm not living my life. I'm not living my purpose. So coming back to your question, it's the same for each and every single one of you. Like 10K per month is actually enough. If you understand wealth mechanics and you understand financial structure, it's enough. You can actually live a really comfortable life with that.
Okay.
But the issue is the desire. And the desire that you have is either distorted, right? Whereby you need that money to prove something, which means it's distorted in nature, or it's a calling. You need wealth because there is a deeper mission and a vision that this level of income just doesn't provide you because it's a reflection of circulation, right? 10K in circulation is not enough to say like serve the entire humanity, right? But 10K in circulation and in great structure within your family structure, within your own structure can be enough if you're smart about it. So I'd say focus less on like getting to that goal or like maybe you hit a revenue plateau or revenue ceiling. It's less because it's not easy to get to. It's because you have not refined the intention behind why you want to receive this wealth in the first place. And not only that, potentially the universe, divinity, God is giving you the opportunity right now to take a look at your current structures and go, actually, I want to make 50K per month, but really, I don't have the wealth structures to hold that money. If I make that 50K per month now, what I'll do is I'll just burn it all.
Yeah.
Or I'll lose it all. Or I'll be burnt out. It actually doesn't serve me. So I believe that every single individual has an ecological earning range in their life. That you are making exactly what you need to make because that gives you the exact circumstances and situation to receive the life lessons you need to continue to evolve. Because if you receive less, right, all you feel is suffering. If you receive more, all you feel is complacency. Right? So it's exactly what you need to make right now.
Very good answer. Yeah, is that what we're looking for?
Right? And that's money itself.
Very well put. I could not put that better than myself, and that's super true. It's you know, these people that win the lottery, millions of dollars, they lose it all within a year and they're back to the same position.
Exactly.
But what I'm just trying to do, which isn't online, is just to have an honest conversation, regardless of this question, is that because, you know, there's 21-year-old kids doing, I'm doing high ticket sales and I'm 10K a month and I'm living anywhere. Like that's not easy. So the 1-2% you see on social media doing that, amazing, great. They've worked hard. But everything we've spoke about from our journey for like the years it takes then to find your passion, all I'm trying to kind of bring home is that if you are, you know, the 20, 30, 50, 40K a month, like it's an amazing accomplishment. You're doing it on the back of your name, Ray Pang, and it's your offer, it's your business, it's your journey. I'm doing it on the back of Neil McMillan. It's my business, it's my offer, it's my journey. Like that's, so you're not doing it with another business, it's you and you're alone. That's incredible, and I want to put out there. And it's just like, and if you are making $5,000 a month and you're living in Bali on a laptop, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to bring that story. I want to bring that message true for some people because it's just so inflated on the line now.
It is so inflated, and the truth of the matter is, the more you compare yourself or the more you fixate upon the results online, the more you are like swimming in the illusions of social media, because there are a lot of people who are flaunting wealth on the internet, but it's coming from a deep place of insecurity.
Yes.
And not only that, it's a deep place of manipulation, because, and this speaking from my personal experience, right? Like, I've worked with so many different business owners, and I've trained marketers who have done campaigns for Hormozy, trained marketers who have done the back end of Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of different like young upstarts, you know, young entrepreneurs, people in their teens, you know, 15-year-old. I literally mentored a 15-year-old kid to make his first 10K a month, right? But what I've come to realize is that a lot of these individuals are not integrated. So yes, they might have made those money, but they are either like lost in addiction, or they're losing it all, or they don't have the structures for it. And it just perpetuates this like shiny object of money on the internet, on social media that's not actually real, right? The people with true wealth, they don't flaunt their wealth online.
You don't know who they are?
Yeah, I don't know who they are. Some of the richest beings, all they care about is legacy. All they care about is serving. All they care about is like whatever they're building. Like we talk about Elon Musk, right? People think he has trillions of dollars in his bank. He doesn't, right? I can guarantee like he's living based upon where he's at, the bare minimum that he gets to live to continue to project the specific personal brand he needs to project to receive the wealth he needs to receive from investors. Yeah. Because he's so fixated on his vision and mission.
Yeah.
All of his wealth and money is going back. And like SpaceX and all of this, but even be losing money. We don't even fucking know.
People forget about his story though. Like everyone's moaning he's the first trillionaire, but like he literally slept in his office in Silicon Valley. He drilled holes through the wall to get the internet wire through. Then he got PayPal.
That's the dedication.
He sold PayPal. He could have walked away forever, but he lost all that money by investing in Tesla and SpaceX. Yeah. So it was like all these journeys that no one would take those risks. Usually, so he deserves where he's at. Really.
Exactly, right? So that's come to say. So if you are making whatever money you're making and you already feel a sense of fulfillment in your life, allow yourself to receive that and continue to evolve in a way that works for you, right? And if you're making 5K per month in Bali and you're living a freedom life, like enjoy it, be grateful for it. Like stop chasing the numbers for the sake of chasing numbers. Chase the number, like focus on receiving more because there's an intention and purpose behind the money.
Yeah.
Right. If not, it's just gonna be it's just like drugs or alcohol or anything else. It's just the same.
It's a quick fix.
Yeah.
I found that. I mean, I've moved to Bali 4 months ago from Australia, and I'm actually finding myself happier in Bali. I'm thinking every single night why. I'm trying to pinpoint the reasons why.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm quite self-reflective as well. But in the terms of, is it because I have complete freedom? I'm not worrying about visas in Australia. Is it because of the network and I'm more, in tune with what my mission and what I'm trying to do? Is it because my visit? It's all these things. So it's interesting because like my happiness has always been location dependent. But it's like, is it, I have to live in this place because it's the best place and then I'll only be happy then. Yeah. But then as you know, when you start your own business, you can live anywhere on the laptop. Like life becomes very different. I think it's age as well. And it's just like, I'm chill. I don't have to party. I don't have to go out and do those things. I'm very happy with just a beach and a coffee or like a nice dinner. And like Neil wouldn't be saying this 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's when you really balance the additives and also balance the hormones and the adrenaline and everything that is the dopamine hits in your mind. When you actually let go of what you have been programmed into and imprinted upon, you realize that you actually don't want all of those things that social media and the internet and movies have like expressed.
I've done interviews with people that got 4 million followers on TikTok, 2 million followers on Instagram, right? And it's not like they're not the happiest people. And it's like this act where you wouldn't trade lives with them. Jim Carrey came out and said an interesting thing. He was like, I wish everyone got rich and famous and realized that wasn't the answer because he went through this huge depression as well. And so it's super interesting to understand. And you're right, if you don't have those foundations in place. I'm from the middle of England, actually. That's where I grew up. And there were two options. It was like have a baby at 18 or 19 and settle down or work in a factory. I don't know if you remember the band Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. He was born in Birmingham. And the guitarist, he was working in a factory. It chopped his fingers off. So that's why they down-tuned the guitars to make metal. So that's where Black Sabbath came from because it was the industrial estate. Now I'm an hour away from the industrial estate in England. So I remember waking up smelling the factories, the grafting, and that was like implemented me, which is like, I have to get a good job. I have to be working class. There's no way out of this. But because of the world I was exposed to, the philosophy Tony Robbins tapes when I was like 16 on the train, like without that, I don't know. I think I'd probably still be there. Yeah. So it's like, I refuse my reality. Like I refuse. And even now I refuse my reality. Australia was like, you have to, do this to get a visa. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I'll go and live in Bali. Yeah. Just because you're so strong in yourself. People are like, oh, Neil, you're mad. You're going to live in Bali. I'm like, no. It's like, I do what I want. It's my own life and my own decisions. And that is worth everything to me. Yeah,
100% choice. When you make those choices for yourself, and you truly allow yourself to receive responsibility for everything that you are, there's a depth of liberation to it. There's almost this unfuckability.
We've heard a lot about your businesses, which is amazing. What you're doing, who is Ray? What's the future looking like now? Like where you are in this moment, you've got a huge vision and goal. Like what's coming up for Ray Pang?
Yeah, so the future, I'd say, I tend to not think too much into the future actually. I have like a vision of it, but I'm not fixated upon it because like every single time, like looking back at my life, like the future that I thought has never materialized the way it has been. It's always been better, right? In any capacity, because we can always go like, oh, I want to, have this like $1 billion like empire, blah, blah, blah. But, it's a process, right? So for me, the future now, I'm very present with my current relationship with my woman. We're going to fly to Istanbul for European summer this year. We're going to take a look at houses. Okay. Because we're going to feel into where do we actually want to be present at when we have our first child. Okay. Right. So that's a very deep desire in the future for me. Like I want to be a father.
You need a home base, and the girl always wants to be close to the mother and the family, and you have to decide that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's a very beautiful future that I'm co-creating at the moment. The other aspect is I'm empowering the current founders of our schools to really step into their own sovereignty, because a lot of them created these organizations and institutions from a place of needing to save humanity, and that always creates a lot of depletion in themselves. So right now, working with all of these schools, right, we're curating and solidifying the curriculums for mass adoption.
Okay.
Right. So I say in the future, like ideally, Global Freedom Initiative would have very potent entrepreneurship curriculum, a very potent social emotional well-being curriculum, where we are actually deeply collaborating with not just private schools, but also public schools in the public sector, working with governments, institutions, potentially having conversations with the Singapore government, coming back to the land, coming back to my birth country, reclaiming that part of myself, and creating something that actually supports and empowers the next generation amidst all of the chaos and the tools that we see now. So for me, that is a very deep future that I'm co-creating, and just being very present with that process. Besides that, would be a thriving community of thought leaders and change makers that we are working with in Infinite Flow Points, because some of the curriculums are like social emotional well-being, like breath work, meditation. I'm not necessarily an expert in all of that, right? But I've got clients who are experts in them.
Yeah.
So we co-create with our clients on some of the curriculums and modalities that we are mentoring our students, our next generation with. So for me, having that thriving community that co-creates with the legacy work and a thriving family, that's my future.
Amazing. I mean, look, Ray, it's been an amazing talk. If anyone wants to find Infinite Flow, where can they do that? Do you have certain websites? Is there, your socials? Where is it?
Yeah, so feel free to check me out on Instagram at Ray, RAY _Pang, PANGSH, or at Infinite Flow Points on Instagram.
There we go. I'll put the links below, but thanks for coming on, my man. It's been amazing. And I look forward to staying in touch with you in Bali. But
Yes.
cool.
Big love.
Lama.
Good stuff.